Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Preacher Dad Podcast. And you've made it to Fatherhood Friday. And on this episode today, we're going to talk about why should we play sports? Is sports a good idea or a bad idea? We're going to talk about that today because you parents out there, you know sports are a big deal. And whether you choose to play them or not, it makes a big impact. So we're going to discuss that. And I hope that you'll stick around to listen in. As always, our podcast is brought to you by Cornerstone Fellowship. Cornerstone Fellowship is a small country church in the middle of nowhere, Georgia. But man, we sure love Jesus. And we would love to love him with you. And we would love to proclaim Christ with you and to you. So come on over and check us out. Or you can listen in online on Facebook. You can find Cornerstone Fellowship there. Or you can also look us up at cornerstonefellowship-ga.org. cornerstonefellowship-ga.org. All right, enough of me. Let's start Fatherhood Friday.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Fatherhood Friday. My name is Jared, and I am the Preacher Dad. And you found the coziest little corner of the internet, and we love to see you there. We don't see you, but we're glad you're there. All 7 or 8 of you, we're glad you're there. So I'm here with Matt Stewart and Nate Eisner. They're our fatherhood panel tonight. Our other brothers are unavailable this evening, and so we hope you'll pray for them, but they're probably better by now. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about sports. And, you know, I grew up playing sports. I played coach's pitch and Little League baseball. I played basketball. I played soccer. I played 1 year of Pee Wee football. I was a standout star in Pee Wee football. Nobody else had hit their growth spurt, hardly anyone. So I was faster and stronger than most of the rest of the guys. And it was great. And then I was done. I retired at the top of my game. But
I've seen your basketball shot, Jared. You have a pretty good shot. I was impressed.
Most people are. I look rather goofy, but I can make them drop. But you know, I think it's.
Put my hat on too, by the way.
Oh yes. God bless Alabama.
Yeah.
They need a lot of the Lord's help to win games these days. It seems like.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we haven't talked on air about how the Georgia and Alabama game went, but
no, not a lot. There's actually a lot of controversy about the Georgia-Auburn game. Did you watch any of the Georgia-Auburn game?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, refs have been. I mean, as much as I despise Auburn football, I think Auburn got a little unlucky there.
It wasn't just on Auburn's side, though. Anyway, we won't go into all that at this moment. But Matt and I do like to just friendly competition over Georgia versus Alabama in the football world, and so that's he wins this year. We'll see what happens in the conference championship, but you know, sports are a big part of our society and our culture, and as parents, we need to be ready to have a good answer about this. And, you know, I think that a lot of parents set up sports as a god. They are worshiping a false idol. I just think that is so dangerous. And it's so easy for parents to get wrapped up in the fun of it and in the competition of it. They're living vicariously through their kids, and, you know, they're enjoying watching their kids play, and so they sort of push it more than they ought to. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been to some children's sports events where I was embarrassed for the parents who were losing their mind over things. And it's just and sports is a $1 billion a year industry. There's just so much time and energy and effort that we devote to sports. And even young children, 6, 7, 8 years old, their parents are taking them on travel teams and traveling all over the place, and, you know, getting private tutors for them so they can keep on playing the game. And this is just going too far. And we really need to be careful. But there's still a lot of value I believe, in sports. And I think we really need to think about this particular scripture from Colossians chapter 3. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ." And I think if we keep sports within that context and say that, hey, this can be a good thing that honors God. The things you learn, the things I learned about myself, the character I gained from working on a sports team, and the things I learned about how to interact with others, very, very valuable and glorifying to God ultimately. But we need to keep him as the forefront of our thinking and not allow our devotion to the competition or the sport or the fun of it all to eclipse the value that we can bring, or the value that we need to be seeking after, and that is doing it unto the Lord. Can I say that my behavior on the baseball diamond or the basketball court or the football field is glorifying to God, is done unto him? I mean, do it with all your might. Do it as hard as you can. I'm so proud of my son who's playing basketball again this year. And, he's so enthusiastic, and he's not the most athletically talented guy on the court, but he is enthusiastically cheered on his team. When his team does well, he's intensely into it. And I think that's great. And we want to do that, but we want to do it unto the Lord, because it's from the Lord that we receive rewards. All the trophies you get, you line your house with them, and all of the accolades, and even professionals that win championships and are the best of the best. It's the rewards that the Lord gives that are more important than the trophies that you get from the league or from the little league. And I think that it's important for us parents to impart that to our kids and help them understand, look, we are not going to be, I know in my family, I've had to have the conversation with my kids who love to play, who enjoy the competition. And I've had to say, listen, we're not going to be controlled by sports. Sports is a privilege. It's a fun thing, but it is not ultimately going to benefit you as much as some other things probably will. I told them, look, I played soccer and basketball 3 years in high school. I played football. I played baseball. And now in my life, other than the character and the fun experiences I had, those things have not really benefited me very much at all. And I could have invested some of that time, at least, maybe more wisely, and reaped the benefits now that I wish I would have invested differently then. So that's sort of my soapbox, I guess, on sports. But I'd like to know what you guys think about sports in our society, and parents' approach to this. How should dads be thinking of this, and moms too? We got a number of moms in the audience. So how do parents think about sports?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you just kind of the way that we think about it is like our last episode we talked about, making sure that our kids and our house is a priority, right? And so if we can do sports and we're not neglecting anything else, if we're still eating dinner together, if we're still having family devotions, most nights, then we see it as a good thing. Really our kids, especially younger boys and stuff, they need to get out and run, and they need to burn off some energy. They need to get hit and not be knocked down and feel a little bit of pain. I think it's a good thing. I think it teaches a lot of, it teaches humility when you get smacked around and lose the soccer game, 7-0. It's gonna,
Yeah.
When my kids play sports where they don't keep score, I keep the score and tell them. I'm like, no, you lost that game.
Good for you, man. Good for you, Matt.
They need to know if they've won or lost. Few other things I was thinking.
Isn't that rather interesting? It's rather interesting to me that sports are much more valuable if you're keeping the score.
Yeah.
And that if you're not keeping track of the score, you lose so much of the benefit. Yeah. And I think that's rather intriguing to me, that the competition of it is a key part of it, and you have to keep score to know who wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Anyway, go ahead.
As you were talking, Jared, I jotted down a couple of things. You were talking about your son being on the basketball team, and you've told me about him a little bit, but also and how he hustles and he works harder probably than most kids on his team, and that's a good example of a Christian, Christian young man. And I know of course he could have that positive influence over peers and other settings as well, but sports is a good thing, and that's I know you're proud of him for that. Another thing I was thinking, so I coach 5, 6, 7-year-old soccer, and by the way, I have no clue how to play soccer. I am like the worst soccer player ever, but I can coach 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and we had practice today, and it was great. We laughed so much, but I have rules. I call them team rules or whatever. Listen to your coach, listening to authority, respecting authority. So that's a biblical aspect or whatever. Also, I tell them they have to hustle, which you were talking about that kind of with Colossians 3. And then I just tell them the third rule is we've got to be a good Christian example. And I ask them, what does that mean? Don't push people, don't hit people, don't say bad word. Like they list it all, and it's all really good things. So especially if your kid can play in a sports league that is more Christian centered, or at least a Christian coach, I think that goes a long ways. But something else I was thinking about, and you mentioned it briefly, I think, Jared, but you can, I would absolutely say no to. We have said no to my daughter, especially my oldest one, who likes to play basketball and soccer. We've not let her play on leagues where it's 3 or 4 nights a week or traveling on the weekends. We're not going to do that. It's too expensive, and it takes away from family time. We just can't do it, and it's hard. I want her to play, and she wants to play, but I'm like, it's not what's best for the family.
Yeah.
And we can, and her friends, all of her friends play on this basketball team, and it's a Christian homeschool league, so it's fine, but it's 4 nights a week. It's a lot. And I'm like, look, you can play here, play there, where it's 1 day a week, and it's not as competitive, but it's still going to be fun, and you'll be able to get out and get some exercise and stuff like that. So that's a few thoughts I have on it, but I understand. And we'll go to Nate next. And I know that some parents think differently about sports, so maybe anti-sports, or just they just don't really have much of an opinion. But anyway, so Nate, we'll move over to you and see what you have to say about it all.
Yeah, so if you're the affirmative, I'll be the negative. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, really. So here's the thing. I did not grow up playing sports. I did not grow up watching sports. I wouldn't say I inherently have anything against them. I probably, as I'm around my kids and specific. So my wife and I teach our youth group on Wednesday nights, and all those kids love sports, man. And so, I'm getting the perspective on it now that I just never had growing up. And so I'll say we play football every Wednesday before we start our lesson, and I've really enjoyed playing with them and learning the rules and all that stuff. I watch the Super Bowl every year, and that's probably the only football game I'll watch, every year.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about 7 Weeks Coffee. They are a company that believes every life is worth fighting for. When you purchase 7 Weeks Coffee, you're directly helping to fund their network of over 750 pro-life organizations across the country. That's because with every purchase of their delicious coffee, 7 Weeks is donating 10% of that sale to pro-life pregnancy centers that reach women and men in crisis every day. In the last 2 years, 7 Weeks Coffee has donated $250,000 to help save the lives of children and also rescue their parents from years of regret and suffering. But you don't have to endure poor quality coffee to make a difference. Their coffee is harvested in the most organic way possible, and you can taste the difference in every sip. It really is quite good, folks. I really am loving this coffee. These coffee beans are mold and toxin free, and they use organic farming practices, and the coffee is ultra low in acid. When a baby reaches 7 weeks from conception, it is the size of a coffee bean, and that is also the point at which a heartbeat is first detectable. 7 Weeks Coffee is committed to the pro-life cause, and you can get an outstanding product while contributing to the important work of pregnancy centers across the United States. Now, in order to get 10% off, you can go to preacherdad.com and use my special link, or you can go to 7weekscoffee.com and use the promo code PREACHERDAD for 10% off. And then you can join me in saving lives one cup of coffee at a time. Go to 7weekscoffee.com today and use the promo code PREACHERDAD.
And you turn it off during the halftime show.
I'm excited for this year's, man. We get the Charlie Kirk, Turning Point halftime.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah,
that's right.
I go for the, I've always gone for the hot wings, really. But hey, but there's some. Here's the thing. I like the excitement of it. I like picking a team and rooting for that team. I like competition. So in terms of sports, I think it's a good thing. I think God created athleticism. I think God created the concept of competition. I think God put that instinct in men, and especially in young boys. But I think he put that in men because it inspires us to do better. And so I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with sports. I think culture and humanity, like everything, can just take it too far. There's a really good quote from George Orwell in the book 1984. He said, "Football, beer, and above all, gambling filled up the horizon of their minds. To keep them in control was not difficult." And so I think the question is, where do we draw the line to the point where this becomes unhealthy for not just us as individuals, but as a society? You look at Rome, the Empire of Rome. When they had the stadium, the Colosseum filled, it was a distraction. We have not had our conspiracy episode, but it makes me want. I know football is an American tradition, and I think that's wonderful. Baseball is an American thing. So that's part of our culture, and I think it's wonderful. I think it's definitely been manipulated to the point now where it is obviously a cash grab, and I'm not advocating anyone to lose their job. I'm not trying to say down with the NFL or anything like that. I think it's just important for us to take a step back and see when this becomes. I think y'all talked about. I think it was you, Jared, was talking about earlier. This might have been before we started recording, but it's one thing to sit down and enjoy a football game, if that's what you do as a family. I think that can be a great bonding time as a family. But when you spend every waking second checking the score on your cell phone and, you can't, dad's in a bad mood today because his team lost, and he's a Debbie Downer for the whole day, for the whole family. I think it gets unhealthy. I know this might ruffle some feathers. Again, I didn't grow up with it. But I think encouraging young men to maybe forsake potential career paths in pursuit of a professional career in sports is one. I know it can happen. Anybody can get selected to go on to the big leagues. I think you could potentially be setting yourself up for disappointment and heartbreak if that doesn't happen. And coming from a different angle there, I'm a musician. And I'm a rock musician. I'm a guitar player. I'm a singer. And I had a lot of friends in Nashville, a lot of friends in the music industry. I had a shot in the music industry. I stopped pushing hard for a career. So, I don't know where I would have taken it, but I can say that I probably could have spent a long time pushing for, a shot at, the spotlight and stardom. And I think that spirit and that desire and craving is found in the professional sports industry as well, because you got a million guys out there that are phenomenally talented, and are very skilled at what they do. In the world of football and baseball, soccer, what you name the sport, just like musicians, there's a million guitar players that are probably 10 times better than the guys that are actually famous. They just don't happen to get that spotlight. And I think that disappointment can be in multiple industries, multiple talents, multiple hobbies. But I think we need to take a step back and realize, okay, let's think about this long term. Let's think about this 10 years down the road, as a young college guy. Because for me, I had my eyes on Nashville. I wanted to go on tour. I wanted to be in a band. I was not thinking about my life 10 years down the road when I have a wife and kids, and she's not going to want me gone, 300 days out of the year because I'm on stage, halfway across the world. Think about that. If you're on a professional football team, are you going to be able to maintain a family? What happens when that's over? Because you age out and you spent, you had a really good 15 years and now you got the rest of your life ahead of you, and you either didn't get married or you got married to a crazy woman that you're going to end up divorced, and who knows what goes on. I don't know what goes on in the football world. I'm a musician. I can tell you what goes on in the music industry, and it's not good. Christian music industry as well. It's not good. So that's kind of my thoughts on the subject. I think it's phenomenal for kids. I think there's a lot of lessons, Matt. I completely agree. It teaches you humility. It teaches you discipline. I think it's a healthy way to get out aggression. It's a healthy way to get out competition. It's a healthy way to learn how to work as a team. So there's a lot of lessons that we can use to really develop young men and girls. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with having a professional, league. I just think it becomes a slippery slope once you take it to that level, like all things.
Yeah.
Like all
I
things.
think you're totally right. And, we just have to make sure that really, as the parents in the family, we're the ones that need to keep this within biblical guidelines and make sure that this does not become a god in our own hearts or in the hearts of our children. If I, as a dad, if I make sure that we are home every Sunday to make sure we turn on the football game, and I'm kicking back and I'm watching every football game I can, and I'm spending money for NFL Sunday tickets so I can watch every single game. And every Saturday afternoon, I'm watching every college football game I can. I'm watching SEC Network, I'm watching CBS and ABC and ESPN, and I'm just devoted to that. And we're going to get food, and it's going to be so much effort and energy invested into those games. My children are going to raise up those things as gods in their life. And if they, for some reason, have athletic talent and ability and skills, blessed with those things, they will seek after my adulation. They will seek after my approval by going into those zones. So the things I, as a dad, approve of or glorify in our home are the things my children will chase for their whole life, because it makes dad happy, at least in many ways, in many situations. That's what happens. So dad, if you're out there, mom, you too, prioritize the right things in your life. And sports can be great, but they can be very damaging. And in our society, in our culture, it's very easy to make sports a god and to go to the stadiums to worship the great, demigods that play there. And there's just a lot of similarities that we want to avoid in our society. So let's keep things in the right balance, and let's do everything we do as unto the Lord. We're going to, even if you do get a professional sports career, even if you are a great coach, point people to Jesus using that avenue. Be unto the Lord, because it's really the rewards you get from heaven that are more valuable than Super Bowl trophies or MVP awards or, whatever might come your way in the arena of sports. Do it unto the Lord. And that's where true rewards come from.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to ask a question. So we've been talking about sports, but are there other activities besides sports, the normal sports that we've been talking about, football, basketball, soccer, that would be good for kids to do from a
martial arts?
Yeah, I was gonna say from a physical aspect or from mental, and I don't know, whatever. But
well, I can say I've never done martial arts, but I believe that would be a good one. Also, trail life. Trail Life USA is great for boys, and American Heritage Girls is great for young women. And it teaches them to self-discipline themselves. It teaches them so many great things. My children are also involved in Trail Life, and it's a different sort of avenue, but there are competitive things that happen, and it's really, really good for them, building their character and their strength. I have one of my younger sons has really grown in his ability to speak to a group, public speaking. He used to be terrified of public speaking, and now he can do it quite comfortably, because in large part because of what Trail Life has done. So robotics competitions, we learned about that not too long ago. People can, even starting in grade school, they can begin to learn about robotics competitions and goals, and there's championships and states and nationals. My brothers were involved in Bible quizzing when they were younger, and that's not so physical as it is mental, but there is some physicality
when I was
involved.
A kid.
Did you?
I still remember. I mean, that honestly, it laid a bit. We had JBQ at our church, and then later on they had TBQ, and we did. That was a travel thing to a degree. It's you have your local competitions, and then your district, and then regional, national. And we went on to the national tournament a couple of times. Our humble church, humble team.
My brothers did the same thing. They went to nationals in Boston. They had a coach. They had specialized positions. Oh, you're our Bible memorization guy, and that's your job. It was great.
I mean, it laid a good foundation for me and my brother growing up. I mean, I still remember the questions, because they word them specifically, and we did the NIV, but you got extra points if you did KJV, I think. I'm just kidding.
So was it scripture, like who can fill in the blank or know what the passage is, or there's just answering questions about Bible stories?
Junior Bible quiz is a little bit more structured and dumbed down. I say dumbed down. It's not dumbed down. The questions are easier and more scripted in the junior. Teen Bible quiz, you literally memorize an entire book of the Bible, and then they're going to ask you questions on it, and you have to recite from memory the verse and number, all that stuff.
Oh wow!
But junior Bible quiz, you had a book of questions about that thick, and they were pre-written questions with specific answers. So who created the earth? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So you quote the Bible verse. And so those were 10-point questions. The 20 points were a little bit harder. The 30-point questions was that might be 4 verses that you had to recite, and you had to recite it word for word on the NIV translation or whatever. And so, the junior Bible quiz was a little bit more structured, a little bit easier to memorize the questions because it's actual memorization. It's like, oh, I know that question. Teen Bible quiz, they might ask the question in their own words, and you have to be able to recite, what they're talking about, and know exactly where in the book of Matthew, where in the Beatitudes Jesus is talking about. So it's a cool concept, and it's
in the Bible quizzing my brothers did, they had sensors in their chair, so you had to jump up in order to be called upon to answer, and you'd have to be quick enough to beat the other team.
We didn't have that. We had little buzzers.
So it was physical too.
Like Jeopardy buzzers.
Yeah, it's awesome. Anyway, so there's lots of options out there for scratching that competitive itch and being able to help your family learn and grow from that competition. It doesn't have to be sports. Now, Matt and I have our kids in sports, and Tony and Nate, they don't yet, but we'll see what happens in the future. But, let's make sure we're doing everything as unto the Lord. All right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening in. I hope that you're subscribed. If you haven't yet, just go ahead and click that button. Click. It's not hard. And you can be updated on new episodes when they're released. And we would love to hear from you. If you want to email us, you can do it at dads, D-A-D-S, at preacherdad.com. Dads at preacherdad.com. And you can go to preacherdad.com if you want to find out a little bit more about this podcast and some of the things that we believe and some of our worldview. All right. Final thoughts.
I was just going to say, if you like the episode, give us a thumbs up. And if you don't like it, give us 2 thumbs downs, right? Click it twice.
That's right. Click it twice.
Yeah. Click it twice. That's a great idea. Yeah. That's very, very helpful to us. If you click it twice, but only on the thumbs down.
Like and subscribe.
If you very, very much like it, you need to just click like and then click the share button if you like the episode. Listen, folks, we appreciate all of you.
As well.
Leave a comment. Yeah, absolutely. Leave a comment. We appreciate all of you and hope that God is blessing you and that you're encouraged. Stay in the fight, guys and gals. Don't give up. For in due season you shall reap if you faint not. All right, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Fatherhood Friday. Bye-bye.